Emily strolled through the local park, her heart light and her mind filled with thoughts of the animals she adored. But suddenly, her attention was drawn to a scruffy stray dog named Max. He sat just a few feet away, his fur unkempt and matted, but his eyes held a fierce intensity. Emily paused, her curiosity piqued. Max's gaze was fixed on a nearby drain, and as people approached, he let out a low growl, warning them to keep their distance. Emily felt a surge of compassion for the dog. "What's got you so worked up, boy?" she murmured, taking a cautious step closer. Max, sensing her presence, shifted slightly but maintained his stance, his body taut as if he were ready to spring into action at any moment. "Hey, I'm not going to hurt you," she said softly, kneeling down to appear less threatening. "I just want to help." Max's growl subsided, but he continued to watch her with a mixture of suspicion and wariness. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. What could possibly lie beneath that drain to invoke such loyalty and protectiveness in a stray? Later that evening, Emily returned home, her thoughts consumed by the dog and his peculiar behavior. She sat at her kitchen table, scrolling through online articles about stray dogs in her town. The stories were heartbreaking, filled with tales of abandonment and hardship. "I have to do something," she whispered to herself, determination settling in her chest. As she drifted off to sleep that night, her dreams were haunted by shadows and whispers, visions of a dark secret hidden beneath that drain. The next day, armed with dog treats and resolve, Emily made her way back to the park, her heart racing with anticipation. As she approached the drain, she spotted Max once more, still keeping his vigilant watch. "Hey there, buddy," she called gently, holding out a treat. Max growled lowly, but this time, there was a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. "I promise I'm not here to hurt you," she reassured him, slowly inching closer. Emily settled onto the grass a few feet away from him, her heart pounding in her chest. "Look, I brought you something," she said, tossing a treat toward him. Max sniffed the air, his body language softening. After a moment's hesitation, he stepped forward, cautiously taking the treat from the ground. Emily couldn't help but smile, her heart warming at this small breakthrough. "See? We can be friends," she encouraged, her voice soothing. As the days turned into weeks, Emily found herself returning to the park daily, each visit slowly chipping away at Max's defenses. With every treat and gentle word, their bond began to form. Though Max remained protective of the drain, Emily sensed that there was more to his story, something deep and profound that connected them both. And so, with unwavering resolve, she continued to visit, bringing food and affection, determined to uncover the mystery that lurked beneath the surface. As the weeks unfolded, Emily and Max established a comforting routine that blossomed into a heartwarming companionship. Each afternoon, Emily would make her way to the park, where Max awaited her with a wagging tail, his scruffy fur tousled by the breeze. The bond they formed grew stronger, and Emily became adept at reading the subtle flickers of emotion that danced in Max's warm brown eyes. She learned when he was anxious, when he felt playful, and when he simply wanted her to sit quietly beside him, which she often did. One day, Emily noticed that after their time together, Max began to follow her home, albeit reluctantly. He would trot alongside her, pausing at the threshold of her yard before making his way back to the drain. "Why do you keep coming back here, Max?" she wondered aloud one day, scratching his ears as he gazed towards the drain with a protective intensity. "What's down there that's so important?" Emily's curiosity grew as Max resumed his vigil. One afternoon, she decided to investigate further. Crouching down, she peered into the dark depths of the drain. The sun cast a soft glow, illuminating the edges, but the shadows concealed what lay beneath. Suddenly, her heart raced. She could hear a faint whimpering sound echoing from within. Alarmed, she scrambled to her feet, her thoughts racing. "This can't be good," she muttered to herself, her pulse quickening. She dashed to her phone and dialed the local animal rescue group, her voice shaky as she explained her concerns. "We'll be there right away," the voice on the line assured her, and Emily felt a mix of relief and anxiety. She rushed back to Max, who was pacing nervously, his growls low and menacing as he stood guard. "It's okay, buddy. Help is coming," she said softly, trying to soothe him, though she too felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. Minutes ticked by like hours until the rescue team finally arrived. Emily watched, heart racing, as they approached the drain. Max, ever the protector, positioned himself in front of the grate, his growl deepening. "Easy, Max," Emily whispered, placing a gentle hand on his back. "They're here to help." The rescuers exchanged glances, understanding the importance of the moment. As they prepared to lift the grate, Emily held her breath, anxiety and hope swirling within her. What would they uncover beneath the surface? As the rescue team carefully lifted the grate, the air was thick with anticipation. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, her eyes fixed on Max, who stood at the edge of the opening, an uneasy growl rumbling in his throat. The moment the grate was fully removed, a small, terrified puppy emerged from the darkness below, trembling and whimpering. Max's demeanor shifted dramatically. Gone was the fierce protector. He leaped down into the drain, his gentle instincts taking over as he approached the frightened pup. Emily watched, her breath catching in her throat, as Max nuzzled the little creature, reassuring it with soft whines and tender licks. "It's okay, buddy," Emily whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "You found your friend." The rescue team, momentarily stunned by the bond before them, quickly sprang into action. One of the rescuers, a burly man named Jake, knelt beside Max and the puppy. "Let's get her out of there, shall we?" he said, his voice soothing. He reached out, carefully lifting the shivering pup from the drain. As the puppy emerged, Max erupted into a flurry of excitement, licking its face as if to say, "I've got you now." Emily couldn't help but smile through her tears at the sight of their reunion. "You did it, Max. You protected her all this time," she said, her heart swelling with pride. Once the puppy was safely in Jake's arms, Emily took a closer look at the little creature. "She's so small," she murmured, kneeling down to meet the puppy's gaze. "What should we name her?" Max, sensing Emily's warmth and love, wagged his tail and leaned against her leg. Emily smiled, the weight of the moment filling her with hope. "How about Bella?" Jake nodded, glancing between the two dogs. "I think that fits perfectly," he said, adjusting the puppy in his arms. "She looks like a Bella." With Bella now in her care, Emily felt a surge of determination. She turned to the rescue team. "I want to adopt her. I promise to give her a loving home." The team exchanged glances, sensing the bond forming before them. As they prepared to leave the site, Emily felt a tug at her heart as she looked at Max and Bella. She realized that both dogs had endured so much, and she was committed to being their safe haven. With each passing moment, the connection between them deepened, and Emily knew this was just the beginning of their new life together. Later, as they walked home, Bella nestled in Emily's arms and Max trotting beside her. She noticed something peculiar. There was an old collar around Max's neck that she hadn't seen before. It was weathered and frayed, a stark contrast to his scruffy fur. A sense of mystery enveloped her as she wondered about Max's past. "Max," she said softly, kneeling down to his level, "what's your story, boy?" Max looked up at her with soulful eyes, as if he understood, and in that moment, Emily felt a promise form in her heart. She would uncover the truth behind his collar, and together, they would forge a life filled with love, loyalty, and healing. Over the next few days, Emily reveled in the joy of her newfound family. She took Max and Bella on adventures around town, documenting each moment on her social media. Every bark, wag, and playful pounce was captured in vibrant photos that showcased the bond they had formed. Emily's posts quickly gained traction, and before long, her little family was the talk of the town. One afternoon, while sitting on her porch with Bella nestled on her lap and Max lying protectively at her feet, Emily received a call from a local news station. Emily, we'd love to feature your story about Max and Bella. It's heartwarming and inspirational. The producer's enthusiastic voice rang through the phone. Emily's heart swelled with pride. Absolutely. I'd love to share their story, she replied, excitement bubbling within her. The day of the interview arrived, and Emily prepared diligently. She dressed Bella in a cute little harness and brushed Max's scruffy coat, hoping to present the best version of her furry companions. As the camera crew set up in her yard, she felt a mix of nerves and exhilaration. Just be yourself, Emily. They want to hear your story, the reporter encouraged as the cameras began rolling. As Emily shared her journey of rescuing Max and Bella, she noticed the crew was captivated. Max's loyalty is unmatched. He guarded that drain for weeks, and I can't help but feel he was waiting for Bella, she explained, a touch of emotion in her voice. Meanwhile, a woman named Sarah was watching from her living room thousands of miles away. As she saw Max's familiar face on her screen, tears streamed down her cheeks. No way. Max! She gasped, her heart racing. She had searched for him for years after he had gone missing during a storm, and now she was seeing him alive and well. Emily, can you believe how far we've come? The reporter asked after the segment wrapped up. But Emily was lost in her thoughts, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. She had grown to love Max deeply, and the thought of losing him was unbearable. The following days were a blur. Emily's phone buzzed constantly with messages of support and admiration, but one evening, she received a direct message that left her breathless. I think I saw Max on the news. I've been looking for him for years, it read. The sender, Sarah, quickly reached out to share her story, and Emily felt a knot tighten in her stomach. As Sarah's words unfolded, Emily's heart ached. She realized that Max had a past filled with love and loss, and it was a past that had not yet fully let go of him. As Sarah stood at the door, a mix of gratitude and sadness washed over her. I can't thank you enough, Emily, she said, her voice trembling as she clutched Max's leash tightly. I've been searching for him for so long. I don't know how to repay you. Emily forced a smile, her heart heavy. You don't need to offer me anything. Just knowing he's home is enough, she replied, her voice soft but resolute. Yet inside, she felt an emptiness growing, a void where Max had once been, filled with loyalty and companionship. She watched as they walked away, Max glancing back at her, a flicker of recognition in his eyes that sent a pang through her heart. Days turned into a blur as Emily concentrated on Bella, pouring her love into the small puppy who was now her constant companion. Yet, even as she played fetch in the park or snuggled on the couch, her thoughts often drifted to Max. He had opened her heart in ways she had never imagined. One evening, while cleaning up the living room, she stumbled upon Max's old collar tucked away in a drawer. The weathered leather was a bittersweet reminder of their bond. Bella, curious as always, began to tug at it playfully, and Emily couldn't help but laugh, even as a lump formed in her throat. That night, just as she was drifting off to sleep, her phone buzzed. It was Sarah. Emily, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Max, he's been acting strange. He won't settle down. He keeps going back to that spot near the drain, the one where you found him. Emily's heart raced, a mix of hope and confusion flooding her senses. What do you mean? She asked, sitting up, her mind racing with possibilities. Is he looking for something? I think he might be looking for you, Sarah replied, her tone tinged with concern. It's like he doesn't feel at home anymore. Emily felt a spark of hope ignite within her. Max had been more than just a stray dog. He had been a protector, a friend, and a living reminder of the love that transcended their brief time together. The thought that he was still searching for her made her heart swell with a mixture of longing and determination. I need to see him, Emily said firmly. The connection they had forged was too strong to dismiss, and she couldn't shake the feeling that their story wasn't over yet. Determined to uncover the truth, Emily made her way to Sarah's house, her heart racing with anticipation. As she approached, she spotted Max pacing anxiously by the front door, his eyes darting back and forth as if he was waiting for someone. When he caught sight of Emily, his entire demeanor shifted. He began to wag his tail furiously, his body language radiating joy and relief. "Hey, buddy," Emily called softly, kneeling down. Max bounded toward her, his tongue lolling out in excitement. Sarah, observing from the doorway, couldn't help but smile at the reunion. "I didn't expect him to react like that," she said, a hint of awe in her voice. "Neither did I," Emily replied, scratching behind Max's ears as he leaned against her affectionately. "It's like he knows we're connected somehow." As the two women exchanged glances, an understanding passed between them, and Emily felt a surge of inspiration. What if we could share him? I mean, he clearly loves both of us. Maybe a joint custody arrangement could work. The idea hung in the air, both hopeful and fragile. Sarah hesitated, her brow furrowed in thought. "You really think he'd be okay with that?" "I believe so. He's been through so much, and he deserves to be loved by both of us," Emily insisted, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. Just as they began to discuss the logistics, Sarah's face turned serious. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Max didn't just run away. He was abused by his previous owner. The collar you saw, it was a reminder of that pain. I've been searching for him ever since." Emily's heart sank as the weight of Sarah's confession settled in. "Oh, Max," she whispered, glancing down at him. Understanding dawned on her that Max's loyalty was not just to her, but also to the memory of a troubled past. It made sense why he had been guarding the drain, why he had been drawn to Bella. With newfound resolve, Emily reached out and took Sarah's hand. "Together, we can give him the love and safety he deserves. Let's create a future filled with kindness for both Max and Bella." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she nodded, a sense of relief washing over her. "Yes, let's do it. For them." In that moment, the bond between the three of them grew stronger, and they knew they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by love and a shared mission to heal the wounds of the past.